Disagree and agree. Everybody has their own ideologies, theories, maybe even conspiracies that they might hold dear or have some types of opinions or agreements or disagreements on. Whatever your political issues or your stance, if it's religious or if it's non religious, you have to learn how to respect one another. And we are in the week of Thanksgiving 2016, and there had recently been reports of families getting into real bitter arguments and fights over politics. And a lot of it comes from Republican versus Democrat, Democrat versus Republican issues, and other issues that are underneath our politics that we believe in or disagree in. So, here is some other politics that have turned really bitter. This was a brawl that broke out in Ukraine, and no matter what the education or what country or background you're from, people sometimes can get really, really heated and emotional over views of opinions and beliefs that they have. And it can turn pretty ugly. This is another incident. Economic freedom fighters, party members, parliament physically removed from South Africa legislature after a brutal fist fight broke out. And you can see how different views can quickly erupt into a brawl or even maybe worse. Somebody could end up in the hospital or end up incarcerated, sent to jail because of political views of opinion. And it could be even deadly. This was an opposition Democratic Progressive Party legislator scuffle, and it got really, really bad. And this one was in China. It was a brawl that broke out, and it was so bad that people ended up in the hospital behind this brawl. So, if you just take a look at the fights, I mean, these are people, and they just have differences of opinions, and it can quickly turn into mayhem and chaos. And then, as we know, here in America, we've had issues with protesters. And so, I think protesting is good because you're exercising your civil liberties, and you're able to share your opinions. And there's that thing we hear, freedom of speech, and then we've heard political correctness, and that some people don't want political correctness. But you see, these protesters, they have a stance. There's people who are against Trump. There are people who are for Trump, and there are people who feel that Trump, the beginning of his campaign, it started off as very volatile words that ignited a lot of people. And some people feel that he's going to help, and then others feel he's going to do a lot of harm. And there's also been the issue of race that has been one of the biggest issues in his campaign, is bringing up racial epithets, slurs, and it has created lots of division. And so now we're approaching Thanksgiving, and for families who get together, they might be flying far away or traveling to meet one another. Even family members have differences of opinions, and they may not see eye to eye, but you have to realize as family members that you have to learn to agree to disagree, that you're not always going to have the same opinions. That's what makes us unique individuals. And you see a family where maybe people have strict religious beliefs, but even with that, you have to realize that everybody doesn't have the same religions. They don't have the same beliefs. Some people may have come from families who were really religious, and they no longer feel that they should hold on to those religions, so they become atheists. Whatever your stance is or your opinions, that makes you who you are and makes you unique. Everybody has differences of opinions. Opinions are not facts, but they are your own opinions, which everybody has entitlement to being different and having their own opinions. It's like you've got people who groups of people who agree in old tradition, and then you may have someone who totally does not agree with those opinions and those belief systems. They are their own individual and they're unique. And some people will see issues one way and others will see it another way. Some people will agree and some people will not agree on whatever those politics are. And those politics can come in many ways. It could be how we see police. You have some people will say, oh, we have good police officers, and you have to look at their lives, and you have to look at what they're going through, and blue lives matter, and there's all kinds of issues that'll come up where people will support the police. And then there's the opposite, where people feel police have gotten really militarized, and they become really brutal towards specific ethnic groups, such as black people, Hispanic people, or Spanish people, or people that are Mexican, or people that are immigrants. People have differences of opinion on economy issues, about America being a capitalist country, and there's lots of different opinions, lots of different people with different views on how they see the world and the inner workings of politics. Some people are not that heavily into politics, but believe it or not, even if you don't watch or you don't study politics or you're not really that deeply rooted in it, you're going to fall in a category somewhere. Even if you are somebody that is against, hardcore political issues. There's left, there's center, there's right, there's different belief systems that people have: socialist, green, moderate, centrist, conservative, liberal, libertarians. It goes on. Fascism, anarchy, socialism, capitalism. Some people are for these issues and against these issues, but whatever it is that you are for or against, this week for some people is a time to share with their families, a time to sit, a time to enjoy each other's company, because life is really short. And so you have to learn how to accept each other for who you are, respect each other, show forgiveness, kindness, and have tolerance in one another, even if you have differences of opinion. And that is going to be so, because there is a difference between expressing your opinion and being rude to someone. And some people can be extremely mean-spirited. They can be rude. And some of this can come from those hardcore belief systems, if it's politics, if it's religion. And we can inflict emotional damage and even physical damage on loved ones and break friendships apart because of how we believe. 10% of conflict is due to difference of opinion, and 90% is due to wrong tone of voice. So a lot of times how you present yourself to people can be the indicator of whether your friendships are really valuable, more so than what you all two have opinions for or against. So a view or judgment formed about something not necessarily based on fact or knowledge. Beliefs, judgment, viewpoint, outlook, attitude, stance, positions, those are all opinions. The definition of it. And so you have, like I said, politics. And even with the candidates that were Republican, not all of them have the same opinions and same beliefs. So, there's issues that you see listed that, some people, based on those individuals' opinion, it was an indicator whether they voted for them or against them, or they believed in them, or they were against them all totally. You are born to be original. Don't die a copy. So those are good words to look at and think about, because everybody's not the same. So these are like hot topics, things that have come up over the years as you're looking, and those are issues that usually are really, really, when they say hot button topics, that can cause people to divide, separate, because they totally disagree with one another, and it can get really, really serious to where people won't speak to each other, they won't phone call each other, they won't talk, they don't want to look at each other. It could even cause people to kick someone out of their home if, differences of religion breeds more quarrels than differences of politics. And people sometimes could take religion extremely serious to the point to where it can create divisive behavior, where even people that you're raising, your children, if they're gay, you want to kick them out the house because you're not gay or you don't believe in gay marriage. And then there's people who are more accepting of their kids and accepting of their beliefs. They may not agree on all of it, but they still know that at the end of the day, this is my son or daughter or my cousin, and I still love them, even if we don't all see eye to eye. I never consider differences of opinion in politics and religion and philosophy that as cause for withdrawing from a friend. Even friends break up. Maybe you discover that your friend is for gay marriage, but you're still not, because you still hold fast and true to tradition, religious tradition. Life would be so different if you stopped allowing other people to dilute or poison your day with their words and opinions. Some of the things that we say to people, and I said this in other videos, and I always have to revisit some of the things I say, can be very painful. Sometimes even hurt more than somebody physically doing harm to you. Words you say can be taken extremely serious. I've learned that two people cannot look at the exact same thing and see something totally different. So if we want to spend time with our families and get along, we have to learn to agree to disagree. Even if we don't have the same opinions, we don't have the same beliefs. If we had beliefs that were similar and we decided to go another route. Some people feel like they want to be progressive. Some people feel like they want to hold on to traditional values. A fair, objective, and permissive attitude towards opinions, beliefs, and practices that differ from one's own, that's tolerance. That is what the world needs, is tolerance. Most definitely. And I hope that most people agree on that, at least.